Hi guys. So today we are going to be looking at baby mice, and I'm going to go ahead and read the prompt out loud for us, and then we're going to go ahead and see what we think about it. So it says, Seth's pet mouse had babies. 5 of the babies were black and 2 were white. The father mouse was black, the mother mouse was white. Seth and his friends wondered why the mice were different colors. These were their ideas. So Jerome said that the baby mice inherit more traits from their fathers than their mothers. Alexa said the baby mice got half of their traits from their father and half from their mother. June said the male traits are stronger than the female traits. Seth said that black mice have more traits than white mice. Fiona said the black baby mice are probably male and the white baby mice are probably female. Lydia said parent traits look like fur color don't matter. Nature decides what something will look like. And Billy said blood type determines what traits babies will have. So go ahead and look, if you haven't already, and see which one you think is the correct answer to the prompt above as to why there were 5 black babies and 2 white ones. Okay, so you think Alexa?
I do too.
You think Alexa as well? You think Alexa as well? Okay, why do you say that? Or anyone, sorry.
I just remember in biology,
Yeah, I do
you
too.
get like half
The genes from your
black.
yeah.
Brown.
Okay. What about, did you have a different answer?
No.
No? Same answer? Okay, good. Yeah, so I also said Alexa. And I had said that was exactly right, that you get half the genes from your mother and half the genes from your father. So, first, can anybody tell me what a trait is before we explain more of this?
Isn't it like it can be like physical, like
You're kind of jumping to my next question, but it's okay. Yeah, so exactly, it's like a distinguishing characteristic that someone has. So,
like your eye
yeah,
color or your
exactly.
hair color.
So that would be so eye color, hair color, skin color. That would be an example of a physical trait, and then there's also behavioral traits. But we're going to focus more on physical traits today. So yeah, so keep that in your mind that a physical trait is a distinguishing characteristic that someone has. Okay, so how do you think that maybe the environment can affect our traits that we have?
Like adaptation-wise?
Like, yeah, kind of, or like based off of what you were saying, our physical traits, how do you think the environment can play a role in
So it's like, for example, in the video we watched in class, the mice that had been living in that, I don't think it was like a desert area, but it had like the dark soil and they were white mice. They grew to have darker fur over time because it helped like save their lives because the mice were dying so easily because it was easy to see a white mouse in a dark, like soily field.
Yeah, exactly. So now how do you think that, so that's separate, right? That is not based off of genes or chromosomes or parents or anything like that.
They've
So now,
adapted that through their environment.
exactly. So that would be an example of an environment factor. But now how do you think we can take that and use it in a genetic way? So how do you think that the 5 baby mice came out black and the 2 came out white, having nothing to do with the environment?
That's just because the dad was black and the mom was white, so they hold a like black fur gene and a white fur gene, and the kids, it's like that square or whatever, and it's like, you know, like,
Square?
yeah, the Punnett square or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to go a little bit deeper. What are chromosomes? Does anybody know what a chromosome is?
A part of your DNA, like
Okay.
DNA
And do you know
strand.
what it does?
That's what makes up your characteristic trait.
Getting closer, yeah.
Your genetic makeup.
Okay, there you go. So it's basically, it carries genetic information in the form of genes. So then, does anybody remember what genes are?
They're just,
Not the pants are.
they're just like, I don't know, you're like
So
DNA.
genes carry instructions for a particular trait, which a trait is, what did we say a trait was?
physical characteristics.
Boom. Exactly. So genes carry instructions for a particular trait, but then chromosomes carry genetic information in the form of genes. Does that make sense, or is that really confusing? So they
when you
kind
say
of.
genes carry instructions for traits, like, for what?
So like, you have different genes than I do because you got you have chromosomes from your father and your mother. I have chromosomes from my father and my mother. So you got half and half, which giving you your genes. And those particular genes that you have on your DNA on those chromosomes is what give you your traits and why you look different than I look.
Okay, I got you.
Does that make sense? And that's the same thing why Daisy looks different than I do, and vice on, so on and so on. Yeah, cool. So I kind of just answered this question, but can anybody kind of reiterate where our genes come from and how we get them, to see if you guys kind of understand that?
We
They're
just,
from a parent.
yeah, inherit it from our
exactly.
parents.
So, and you had said this earlier. How is it? It was, who said it? June. She said male traits are stronger than female traits. Do you guys think that's true or false?
No, but there are dominant and recessive traits.
Exactly. So so you said because it comes from a mom and a dad. So do you think that more of the mice were black because the dad was black?
No.
No, right, exactly.
I think that
because
black is
June
just the
was wrong.
dominant trait.
Exactly. So when you have a dominant trait and a recessive trait, which one do you think is expressed?
The dominant.
Exactly. So when you have the two traits, one is expressed and one kind of falls under the radar in a way, and so that's always the dominant. But sometimes it gets kind of confusing, but sometimes there's no dominant trait and it's two recessive traits, and in that case, then that's how we would get the two white babies instead of just the black ones.
Yeah, because doesn't that mean that like the dad carried a white recessive and then the mom is a white? So like
Yeah.
that like
I kind of I was trying to think of it yesterday, and so I kind of drew a little Punnett square
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. So that's what I was thinking as well.
right, because like brown eyes are dominant and my dad has brown eyes and my mom has green eyes. And so I was born with brown eyes, but my little sister was born with blue eyes, which means that both of my parents hold a blue recessive.
Gene, yeah.
So she ended up with blue eyes.
I always find that so interesting. That's the same with me. I
Yeah.
ended up with brown eyes, but my brother has green eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, neither of my parents have green eyes. And
Yeah.
so I guess just down the line for my grandparents
Yeah.
or something, they had that recessive gene that kind of just decided to come out again. Exactly. And you kind of just went off. You guys are jumping ahead of me every time. But it says, I asked, can anyone give me an example of dominant and recessive traits? So you kind of gave me the example of brown eyes, right? So what would be the opposite for that recessive trait?
Blue?
Yep, there you go. So that would be blue eyes, exactly. Or what about like hair?
Brown hair would be dominant.
What
And
about
like
curly and straight?
red maybe, and then
So,
curly and straight.
The curly and straight. I can't really quite remember off the top of my head, to be honest, which one was dominant and which one was recessive. But I do remember learning about that, and I thought it was that straight hair is dominant and curly was recessive.
So how do you know which one's
that
dominant
may
and
be
which one's
incorrect.
recessive?
Hold on one second. I have it written somewhere.
Curly hair is dominant African American, so I don't think none of us has, like,
No, and that's all based off of, for those particular traits, that's all purely based off genes. I don't know the exact answer to how you can decide why brown hair is dominant and why.
I think it's
or,
just
like,
whatever
why-
runs in your family specifically.
Exactly. So it's like
Because it's
specific
like-
to your DNA. Your
Yeah,
chromosome.
because like my best friend who was like adopted from China, like obviously she has like dominant. They have like the
Straight.
Mongolian style hair. What's it called? Starts with an M.
Uh,
It's their type of hair, and like that's like dominant, and like
okay.
their eyelid style. I always forget the name of all of this, and like their eyelashes and everything. It's all just like dominant for her,
Exactly.
obviously.
And like same thing. I mean, I can say what you're saying for my own heritage too. Like Hispanics typically have
So what about if,
really curly
Yeah.
hair.
What about if you have a Chinese and like the black person marry or whatever, and then how would their gene? I mean, how do you know which one is dominant or recessive over the other?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
That I have no idea.
It goes for, I guess, for like
the answer to.
any
Like she said, it was
mixed
from
child.
genes,
Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
I've noticed with a lot of mixed children from like a white mother or father and a black like mother or father that like what's
like
like
really blonde.
yeah, it's like that's really like dominant. And like I've noticed a lot of them do not have like straight hair. Like I have like pin straight hair, but I'm come from two white parents and stuff like that, but like my hair is pin straight. Like
Well, and like my mom has completely straight hair, but my dad is Puerto Rican and so
Yeah.
he has curly hair.
Yeah.
And my mom's Italian and white and
yeah, so it's
straight
like, and your
and
hair's
I
so
came out with her
curly.
hair color, but my dad's curls.
Yeah.
And so it is. Yeah, and so it's like I came out with blonde
Yeah.
hair-ish. But my dad's hair is black and curly, so it's like I got his curls, but her color.
Yeah, my little sister has
So-
bright red hair and green eyes. And like my dad has black hair and brown eyes. My mom has platinum blonde hair and like green eyes. But on her side of the family, we're very like Irish and European. She was born and raised in England. And so my grandpa, my aunt, my cousin, like one of my uncles, like all have red hair.
Interesting.
So it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And so it's so crazy. Yeah, it is so crazy to think about how like those genes are expressed and why some of the dominant ones are dominant and the recessive ones are recessive. So I'm sorry I don't know that exact answer for it. But I was also gonna ask, did anything surprise you guys about why the answer was Alexa's answer?
I thought it was gonna be like I was down in between. Lydia or Alexa.
You were debating between Lydia and Alexa? Oh, okay. So why do you think someone who didn't think about did you think about Lydia too?
Well, I did at first, but I was like, no, you said parent traits like fur color don't matter, and it does matter, you know, because if you said nature will decide what something
But
will
so that means that eventually nature will kind of take over the race.
And so, I mean, nature does, but if you have like a fur, this type of fur color, then that's really probably very shallow.
And that was actually one of my questions because at first that's what I thought too. I looked at it and I was kind of like, oh, Lydia, but then I saw like it doesn't matter, and so I was kind of on the edge with it. So I even asked that question. I said, why is Lydia's answer incorrect, and what would have to happen for this to occur? And I said it's incorrect because it implies that nature alone is responsible for traits rather than gene expression.
Okay, so what about if she would have said parents' traits? No, what if she would have said parents' traits like fur colored? What if she would have said that nature plays a role?
Then that probably would have been more correct because that is true. However, mainly it is by gene expression.
Yeah.
You can't have a particular trait without gene expression.
Nature only plays a role so far, so it's like I have like paler skin because my mom's entire side of the family is from like Europe and stuff like that, whereas like if my dad's side of the family was from like Ecuador, I would have like darker colored skin or
And I
whatever.
mean,
Like
nature can even play a role too for the environment. Is that like our genes, right, will determine our hair color. But now you can take these external or environmental factors of like the sun, and that can change that. So like the sun can change the light and the color and stuff like that, or the external factors of like hair dye or something like that.
okay.
Cool. Thanks.